Hey, what's going on, Luke? And it's been a little while since I've did any tips and predictions for the NRL season. I'm not even sure if I've actually done any for season 2024. However, it's the final series. It's different. I've got to go ahead and do it. I feel like you guys are always asking me, what's my opinion? Who's going to win this one? Who's going to win that one? I feel like the finals are always a fun time. I mean, not so much. I'm a Bulldog supporter. Not exactly fun at the moment. However, being involved in the finals is incredibly fun. But obviously, I'll touch on the Bulldogs when we get to that game. But just in terms of the actual final series itself, I feel like there's so much hype about it. A lot of it due to teams like the Bulldogs being in the finals for the first time in however many years, nearly 10 years at this point. I think the last one was 2016. So there's definitely a lot to talk about, and there's definitely a lot of interesting predictions. It's not so clear-cut this year. I feel like every other year it's sort of been like, Penrith's there, Storm's kind of there and such. The Roosters are always a team that's talked about but never really performed, but this year they are. I feel like this year it's very, very open. There's no clear-cut one. Last year, I think you would have said the Broncos and the Panthers easily the two best sides, and that's exactly what happened in the grand final. This year, you can say that, the Storm were the best team in, the regular season, but a lot of times they weren't playing with their full-strength side. So are they genuinely the best team? Did they have an easy draw or whatever? The Panthers are the Panthers. You got the rest of the teams as well. The Roosters on their day have shown that they can be nearly unstoppable at times. And, the Sharks, they're in the top four as well, but probably not on the level. You could argue that if there was a couple more weeks, maybe they wouldn't be a top four side. But it's a very, very open top 8 this year, and I think it's going to be great. And that's why I can't wait to give my predictions for these week 1 games. And we're going to start off with the first game, and that is the Penrith Panthers hosting the Sydney Roosters. Now, a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said the Roosters really going to give it to the Panthers, and I think possibly beat them. And I think in previous years, they've played each other in this same sort of game, and I think the Roosters actually started off strong, and then the Panthers would come back and all that sort of stuff, especially at home too. I feel like I can remember watching it where the Roosters got off to a hot start, and then the Panthers just ran them down quite easily. And honestly, I don't really see too much different happening. I feel like the Roosters going to start strong. I don't think they'll have a lead or like a great lead by any means, but I think the Panthers get the job done in this one. I think they get it done pretty comfortably. Pretty much no Sam Walker, no Brandon Smith. You add in the rest of the guys as well. There is a lot of ins for the Roosters, but just in terms of the guys who are missing, Victor Radley, another one, I think they are super important guys, especially Sam Walker. Brandon Smith, look, I'll be honest, Brandon Smith, great player, but Connor Watson at hooker, I think does probably a better job at hooker, I'm not going to lie. But in terms of Sam Walker, he's so effective, and I know Sam Smith, great player, they're banking on him to be, fantastic next year, but I just don't see the side that they have. I don't see them being an actual premiership threat. I see them being good enough to beat some teams in this top 8 and eliminate some sides. But in terms of actually winning the comp, I think as soon as Sam Walker went down, I think that was them done. That's them done. And that's just, I could be proven wrong. They could come out and absolutely smoke the Panthers. And, the Panthers have a lot to play for this year. I know it's been sort of said that, 3 in a row. What more can they prove? Well, 4 in a row. I think Jerome Luai kind of said it best, is that, as much as they've won the premierships, there's plenty of guys who have come into the side who haven't won premierships. I'm just looking at the team lineup right now. In terms of guys who haven't won it, Alan Monty hasn't won one. Looking through as well, the bench pretty much hasn't won a game, hasn't won a premiership either as well. So there's still enough guys who have got that motivation. You add in the guys who are all leaving and want to leave on a high as well. They got to see, your Stephen Crichtons, and when Matt Burton left, and, Kurt Capewell and all that sort of stuff. When they got to leave with a premiership, they got to see what it was like. So I'm sure they want to leave themselves. And you know what? There probably is a part of them that thinks, I'm leaving and I might not win another premiership ever. I'm looking at you guys like Jerome Luai, Taruva, going to the Tigers, no offense, but there definitely has to be the thought process of, maybe we won't win another premiership, so let's do it while we can. So I'm expecting the Panthers come out absolutely firing. I'm expecting them to, I don't want to say they want to destroy the Roosters, but I think they'll get the job done. I think the Roosters are just too good of a side. I think they'll be in the contest. I just don't see them winning it, but I think it's going to be a 1-12 game. I think it'll be very tight. I think the Panthers get the job done. Also worth noting is that Nathan Cleary is back, so you take the form that the Panthers have been in, and then you add in Nathan Cleary. They're pretty much full strength at this point. So I'm expecting big things. And that's on the contrast to the Roosters, who definitely are not full strength. So, it sort of backs up my claims of, Panthers going to win this one. Then moving on to the first game of Saturday, it's the Melbourne Storm, who are in first spot. I kind of touched on them earlier, taking on the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Also touched on them. You have the Storm in fantastic form. The Sharks, not so much. Had a great win in the last game. And probably a great little building block to go into the finals. Probably one of the first times I've seen the Sharks sort of go into the finals with some momentum. Normally they sort of go in and they're kind of, they're winning, but they're not winning good or anything. But this was a very impressive win over a strong Manly side, let's be real. I know no Trbojevic for Manly in the previous game, but still, it's Manly. Manly always compete. If you can beat Manly, that's a good win for you. And the Sharkies definitely did that. They won with ease. Not a home final though, and I think that's where it will play a big part for the Storms, that they get a home final to have all the momentum in the world, obviously top of the table, plenty to play for. Bellamy's sticking around, Munster's there, you got Jerome Hughes on the brink of possibly winning a Dally M. Yeah, Pappenhausen back, but surprisingly, I don't want to say it, but maybe Fa'alogo actually is the better fullback out of the two currently, but Pappenhausen, plenty of experience. Just looking at the side, there's no weak points. There's no weak points in the Storm side, and I think that's what's really scary in terms of this comp. Now, I don't want to outright say that they're premiership favourites. I know that they came first on the ladder, but just looking at their side, it's very, very good. Even look at their bench, right? You got Tyron Wishart. At different points of the year, you can argue he was the form player of the comp. Let's be real. He was absolutely outstanding when Munster or Hughes or whoever is out. He's played on the wing. He's played everywhere. The guy's an absolute freak off the bench. And having the luxury of him coming off the bench actually kind of goes with the Sharks having Atkinson too, who, you could argue he might be better than some of the guys that they have in their side, but just doesn't really fit. You're not going to replace Nico Hines. You're not going to replace Jerome Hughes, whatever. So their spots on the bench, but still super versatile, super good. I love Atkinson. I really love Tyron Wishart. Absolutely fantastic player. But the bench for the Storm, right? Let's have a look at that. Christian Welch. Yeah, big Tui on the bench as well. Alec McDonald has played quite a bit this year as well. It's a very strong side. Up against actually a pretty strong bench itself in the Sharks too. Jack Williams there, I've already touched on Atkinson, Royce Hunt and Talakai. This should actually, this is going to be a battle of the forwards in my opinion. The only thing is I think the Storm have much better backs. I think they have better halves. I think they definitely have a better fullback. I think Storm touch them up, to be honest with you. I think the Sharks have shown that they crumble under pressure, especially in the finals, especially Nico Hines. He's got a history. I know he's taken on his old team. He's won a premiership where he didn't even play a minute, I don't think. But I'm expecting the Storm to win this one 13+. I'm not going to lie. I don't see this being a close game, despite on paper, both these sides pretty similar. But I think the Storm they're on fire at the moment. I think what's interesting with the Sharks, though, is that you have a guy like Tommy Hazelton, who I thought was absolutely outstanding. He's been great throughout the year. There's even some calls for him to be an Origin Smoky, and he's not in the side. And then you have a guy like Oregon Kafusi, who couldn't get a go at teams like Parramatta and such. And you have Hazelton in, number 22. You have Hemingway in 18. It feels like they could put out a better side, and they're not doing it, which is quite interesting. In the contrast to the Storm, you have a guy like Joe Chan, who started off in the second row. Grant Anderson's been fantastic for them when he's played. Va'alapu has been quite good as well. He was starting a couple of weeks ago, scored a try. The depth that these teams have is quite good. But for the Sharks, I'm not sure why Hazelton isn't there. Now, moving on to the second game of Saturday, I think this is a very, very tough one to call. It's an elimination game. North Queensland Cowboys up against Newcastle Knights. Now, the Knights have been absolutely dreadful this year, in my opinion. I was looking at the teams who, when they've taken on other top 8 sides, the Knights are 1 from 10, something along the lines of that. Easily the worst out of all of the top 8. And I think it's going to show this game. I think the Knights are very, very lucky. I see the Dolphins dropped off massively. On paper, I think the Dolphins actually probably had a better team last week, but the home crowd and things just went well for the Knights. Everything kind of went their way. But speaking of things going well, the Cowboys definitely, they're in a little bit of a hot streak. I think they're a smoky to go on a little bit of a run here. In terms of winning a comp, I don't think they're going to win a comp or anything like that. But in terms of beating the Knights, I think the Cowboys do it pretty comfortably, especially at home. I know Kalen Ponga is probably going to step up and play a half-decent game. The rest of the team, though, I'll be totally honest with you, there's not much final experience. or quality finals experience. I know a lot of them probably played like last year, but just in terms of like Gagai, Best, very, very good. Margie's there. Fletcher Sharp, rookie. Coggan, Crosland. They've never really played in the halves at a finals level. Jaden Brayley, for as long as he's been around, probably hasn't played too much because there's so many injuries. And, the forward pack is absolutely firing for the Cowboys. And I think that's the strongest part for the Knights, is they've got a very, very strong forward pack between, the Safidi boys, Thompson, Frizzell, Dylan Lucas, Adam Elliott. But that's coming up against, a lot of guys who have basically, make up majority of the Queensland, Australia, New Zealand side in, McLean's, Tumblr, Robson's there for New South Wales, Lukey, Nanai, Cotter. That's a representative forward pack, and it's definitely showing as of the last couple of weeks. So I think Cowboys win this one 13+. But the bench as well is outstanding for the Cowboys. Take a quick look at it. Sam McIntyre quite strong. Harrison Edwards has been strong. Finny Fiaki, Griffin Neem was amazing the last couple of weeks. It's a very, very big mobile bench. So I think they can ruffle a few feathers in the finals. Definitely going to ruffle the Knights. And now to the last game of the round. There's no way I'm not going to be biased about this one. First off, I'm going to touch on Josh Adokar. Obviously disappointing. I'm not going to talk about the incident in terms of, whether he should be sacked or whether he should be playing, all that sort of stuff. Matter of fact is that he's not playing. He stood himself down. Jarrell Skelton is in. He's played a little bit this year. He's obviously not the backup. He's obviously not first choice. He's obviously not the second choice. Blake Wilson had injured. What a time to have had Blake Wilson there. There's been a lot of fans saying that, if Josh Adokar wanted to leave, you can kind of let him go and Blake Wilson steps in. This would have been the time to prove it. But you can't really replace experience that Josh Adokar has. Whether you like him, whether you hate him, I think majority like him still. Josh Adokar, big game player. He's shown it at Origin level. He's won grand finals. He's one of the few guys who has finals experience. I'm looking at the Bulldog side right now. Connor Tracy maybe out of position, has some finals experience. Bronson Sherry maybe back in the day did. Obviously Stephen Crichton does. Matty Burns won a premiership in another position. Apart from that though, Reed Money lost the grand final. Kickouts obviously won. Salmon was a guy who was like a bit part player, but there's not a heap of experience in terms of finals. Let alone winning at finals level. Whereas look at Manly, Trebojevic is there. Ruben Garrick's been around for a while. Luke Brooks actually makes his first finals appearance ever, which is crazy after all those years. But you got Cherry Evans. Even like you guys like Lockie Croker and stuff have been there for a while. They have played in the finals. Olakwatu, who's played for New South Wales. Jake Trebojevic. Aloe's been experienced for a while. Nathan Brown off the bench is a big one as well. Matt Lodge as well. Plenty of experience there. Nathan Brown's played at a lot of, big time games in terms of, New South Wales and for Parramatta and all that sort of stuff. They definitely have the experience. They had the win over the Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago. Everything kind of says that Manly win this one. They win it pretty well, especially with all the outside sort of noise with the Bulldogs. But I don't know. Everything seems to be sort of going back to, 2004, and Dogs won a premiership with a lot more adversity than what they're going under right now. And a lot of it is it's purely directed towards Josh Adokar. It's not at the team, it's at Josh Adokar who's not playing. And yes, he is a big loss, but surely they can't play as bad as they did a couple of weeks ago against Manly, and surely they learned something from it. The last couple of weeks been getting towed up. Manly obviously got towed up, but we've been playing with a very weak rotated team. And I think if you actually look at the teams that we've been fielding, it makes sense. Like I thought there was no way we're going to beat the Cowboys. Obviously, the fashion that we lost in wasn't great, but no Burton. But obviously, no Burton, no Bronson Sherry. I mean, Adokar at the time. I will say Kurt Mann being a huge loss for us. But if you're fielding Drew Hutchison, if there's another game Drew Hutchison plays, we're eliminated straight away. If he was named number 6 right now, I'll tell you straight up, we're losing. But I'm feeling good about this one. I'm feeling an ambush coming on. This definitely feels like a Bulldogs ambush here. I'm going to call it. I'm going to say Bulldogs win this one. I think we win this one well. I think we come out. I can't see us playing as bad as what we have the last couple of weeks. Something's got to give here. And Manly, when they played us, they played a pretty 10 out of 10 game. And, that's what it took for them to beat us. And obviously they beat us well. But, if they play half, if they only play, 5 or 6 out of 10, I think we decimate them. But, remains to be seen. Manly definitely capable of beating, all of these sides in the comp. Just when you have your Cherry Evans and stuff, even Luke Brooks at this point, Tom Trebojevic definitely there, Jake Trebojevic, They have all the names that say that they can compete at this level. It's just a matter of putting it together in the finals. But I'm going to go with the Dogs. Going with my heart there, not necessarily the head. Head says Manly, heart says Dogs. But guys, let me know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts? What are your tips and predictions? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I feel like a majority of people are going to say I'm wrong. But give me a reason why I'm wrong too. Don't just be like, oh, this sucks. Let me know why I'm actually wrong. And maybe we can have a little bit of a discussion. But yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that one. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. See yous. Well, that's the end of this video. If you happen to enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. You know the drill at this point. Everybody YouTuber says it. Just go ahead and do it. It'd really help me out. Also, why not go ahead and check out some of these other videos that are on the screen right now.